An all-out hunt to catch a thief.
I believe he's a genius.
He's a master of disguise and of the million-dollar scam. Cars, homes, diamonds, and cash.
It's a chess game, and every time he walks out, it's checkmate.
And his partners in crime? A string of young mothers with big dreams, drawn into his shady schemes.
Hold on.
I had diamonds, I had a Rolex. He'd just give me cash for whatever I wanted. Like Prince Charming, I thought.
Was he Prince Charming or a wolf in designer clothing? While he made off with the loot, they were left holding the bag.
I wanted to die inside because I knew everything was going to be exposed.
That's the
It's
Tennessee
a crime
mother?
that plays out like a
No, that's
best-selling
Alison
book
Arnold.
because he wrote the script himself. Could investigators ever find him?
I remember thinking, I can't do this.
Keith Morrison with Thief of Hearts.
Thief of Hearts. That's a movie, bro.
On ID, I'm Lester Holt. This is a story about one smooth criminal. He was a master at wooing women, especially single mothers, accused of using these unsuspecting victims to wrangle millions of dollars from them. And for years, he managed to stay one step ahead of the law. When it comes to pulling off scams, this guy wrote the book. Here's Keith Morrison.
Let Keith Morrison. This
Little
guy.
do they know. Tampa.
He parked his car in long-term parking. Christian knew the FBI would find it in a few days. Christian picked up the $4.5 million in cash and waited in line to board a 14-day cruise.
It's the ultimate taboo to give away the ending of any book.
Christian leaned against the railing and watched the shoreline slowly disappear.
But this book ends with a fugitive con man on a Florida cruise ship carrying a bag with millions in cash.
I don't remember that story.
But is this book fiction or fact? As you're about to see, there are truths in this tall tale as bizarre as any novel.
He felt like the modern day Robin Hood. He would steal from the rich and give to the poor. That was his thing, and I believed in him.
A hard-charging 20-something named Matthew Cox
Poor
began
Allison.
making a name for himself as a mortgage broker.
I always used to say to him, Matt, you never come across as a
Who is
salesman
that?
to me.
Scott Cugna was a
Scott
bank
Cugna.
rep who thought the mortgage business a strange fit for Cox. For one thing, Cox was severely dyslexic. And he'd heard Matthew's stories about the special schools he attended where teachers told him he should work with his hands, that he wasn't smart enough to do anything else. So Matthew Cox had studied art at the University of South Florida, working on sculptures and developing a passion for, even an obsession with, painting.
And he always had pictures he would show me. I came in his office. And,
Artistic guy.
Very artistic.
But now Cox the artist was attacking the mortgage world as he attacked his canvas and his life, as if he had something to prove.
So corny.
And remarkably, the man whose friends wondered if he could even read.
Look how
Where
round.
did I know. Where did they get all those pictures?
I don't even have those pictures.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Did they get it from your mom? Where did they get them?
Fiction.
This is
I don't know.
early Facebook and MySpace. Would you have them on there?
No, I never.
They had to have gotten them from your family.
Matthew Cox.
Christian J. Locke was 29 years old, stood only 5'7" tall,
Ugh.
dark brown hair, suntanned skin.
He did show it to me, and straight from Matt's mouth, it was just about a guy that was going to basically go around the country committing mortgage fraud and then sail away.
What did you think when he told you about the book?
Well, I kind of knew.
Knew, he says, because from the day he met Cox, word was out in Tampa's everyone knows everybody mortgage world that something, well, slippery was going on in Cox's office.
He just knew because other people in the business would talk. Well, you know how Matt's office is. If you need a W-2, he'll make it always appear. If you need someone's social security card, he'll make it appear.
So he wasn't just bending the rules, he was breaking them all.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And just how badly Cox was breaking the rules became clear in the spring of 2001, when a warrant was issued for his arrest.
I had
First arrest,
come to
right?
his office, and people had told me, they're like, man, the cops are just here. Matt was just literally ran out the back door, jumped over the fence. And,
None of that happened.
Jumped over the back fence.
I can't get over a fence. I'm 5'6".
worried.
It was clearly a rogue office.
Oh, absolutely.
Suddenly, that novel Matthew Cox had written didn't sound so far-fetched. He was facing state and federal charges. What had he done? For starters, he assumed a fake identity to get an $80,000 mortgage.
Wow.
Pleaded guilty to
So I got
conspiracy and
three
grand
more.
theft. Without 3 years probation, was ordered to stay out of the mortgage business. Which might have been the end of our little story, except the convictions did not stop Matthew Cox. Well, he didn't work as a mortgage broker, not exactly, but he was certainly back in the business. He called himself a consultant.
That's the way to ease back in.
Living on the edge, said his friend. He was a skydiver, a daredevil who on the ground skirted the law, honed his schemes. He was able to fake good credit to buy literally dozens of Tampa properties, including this apartment building.
Hey, I still live there.
Cox left his distinctive mark in great swatches of vibrant color, painting huge murals all over the walls.
Wow. Is that stuff still there, you know?
Yeah.
And then, secretly, leaving almost no mark at all, according to investigators, he used his building like a burglar's tool. Again, using a false name, he filed fake documents to make it appear it was paid off.
He was a mortgage broker.
Borrowed $1 million on that property.
It's reported Cox took out mortgages on this building worth nearly $1 million, 5 times what it was worth. And then Cox turned his charms on this young woman.
He said, all you need is someone to believe in you.
Her name was Allison Arnold. She was 29 in 2003 and miserable. Marriage on the rocks, young son to care for, her big dreams drowning in a sea of debt.
He said, you could work for me. I'll pay for you to get your mortgage license. I'll pay for you to get divorced. I'll give you money for an apartment. I'll rent it for you. I'll furnish it. You'll be set. You can start a new life. The offer was on the table.
What did you do?
I took him on his offer.
Of course.
I dropped my panties.
Her husband and joined Cox's office as a loan processor.
They were already
But
getting
Matthew
divorced.
Cox as a lover? That lasted about a week. The
That
real
hurt.
relationship, it turned out, wasn't about sex or romance. There were lessons to be learned.
He loved to go to the movies.
What kind of movies did he like?
Anything to do with like criminal activity.
People only know what you tell them, Carl.
Catch Me If You Can. He loved that movie. We went and saw this movie, The Italian Job.
There are two kinds of thieves in this world. The ones who steal to enrich their lives, and the ones who steal to define their lives.
Allison had seen how shady Cox's strategies were and how successful. She was intrigued.
He said that he wanted to help me in a way that would make me loyal to him.
Never said that. I've never said that in my life.
Maybe during sex. Come on, just give it a chance.
Me to do the illegal mortgages.
And she convinced herself it wasn't actually bad, not evil. They were more like Robin Hood, Cox told her. The big fat insurance companies would cover the losses. Nobody would actually get hurt. And so she was, willingly, sucked in. Allison rented this home, forged a deed, and then, just as Cox told her he'd done again and again, filed phony paperwork to get 3 real mortgage loans, borrowing nearly $400,000 against a property she didn't even own. Then she bought a house under a fake name and, incredibly, the Social Security number of her own young son.
Oh,
must have known
that's
that
not
what you were
true.
doing was not just shady, but really illegal.
I knew it was illegal.
But it still felt like nobody was getting hurt.
It felt like nobody was getting hurt, yeah. And Matt did it, and he got in trouble twice for exactly the same thing that I did. Exactly. So I thought, okay, there's a risk, but the risk to me was I'll have a felony and a $1,000 fine. Okay, but I'll make $250,000. I didn't think it was a big deal.
There they were, she thought. Bonnie and Clyde, real estate division.
Oh.
But soon, she says, he began to make her feel that she wasn't quite good enough, or smart enough, or attractive enough to play
Untrue.
the role.
He said, you're pretty in a
Untrue.
trailer park kind of way. He's like, we're going to buy you some boobs. I said, no.
You're going to buy you some boobs?
I don't recall that exactly. It does sound like something I'd say, but not in a mean way.
You think she was pretty Trailer Park way?
No,
She looks beyond Trailer Park.
Yeah, she's
pretty.
She's very upper
You got
middle
her
class.
breast?
No, I never got her breast. That's what I don't understand. Like that's what I don't understand. Like that never happened. I may have joked around about the Trailer Park thing, and that is something I will joke around about. But in a loving way.
By the summer of 2003, Matthew Cox had left a colorful mark in Tampa, Florida. From the murals that sprawled through his apartment building to his manuscript for a novel about real estate fraud.
If everyone was going to treat him like a criminal, then it was damn sure time he started acting like one.
Then there were his dozens
Back
of
to your book every
mortgage-maxed
time.
homes and buildings, his Audi TT sports car, and designer clothes. And by Cox's side was a woman who thought she was living the fairy tale dream, Allison.
He felt like the modern day Robin Hood. He would steal from the rich and give to the poor. That was his thing, and I believed in him.
Of course, Allison Arnold wanted to believe. Enough to succumb to his advances, leave her husband, and break the law. As she says Cox had taught him.
But what does she do beyond, I guess, the first mortgage?
Then pulling out hundreds of thousands of dollars and leaving lenders holding the bag. She wanted it. But was he able to make your life successful?
No. He always just paid my mortgage. He just gave me enough to make a car payment.
So I guess you still had your office at this time.
No.
Oh.
Her son. Didn't matter to him.
He liked feeling like he was living in a movie. He wanted me to be the Bonnie and Clyde with him. He's like, why don't you just leave your son?
It never happened.
No, I can never leave my son.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Surely he would understand that. She was, of course, wrong.
It was apparent that if you were not with Christian, you were against him.
And here
Untrue.
was the consequence. Allison had been replaced.
He answered my ad. He was very charming. It was funny.
That's not, you didn't meet her online, did you?
Yeah.
On Match.com, where right away she confessed she was new in town, a single mother with a son named Bryce, that she was on the run from an addiction to video poker.
Yeah, Becky.
No, Becky.
She was insecure. She was vulnerable. She was perfect. He took her to dinner. They hit it off. So what did Matthew tell you that he did?
He told me he owned his own company. He had about 20 people that worked for him that thought he was a god. They all wanted to be his friend.
Rebecca was dazzled. When he asked her out again, she said, of course. He took her to a movie, Matchstick Men.
You're a con man?
Con artist. Flim flam man, matchstick man, loser, whatever you want to call it.
He couldn't wait for us to get out of the movie. He said, that's small potatoes. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he proceeded to tell me he was on probation for mortgage fraud.
When he told you that, what'd you think?
Well, I thought he was on probation. I thought, okay, you know, he said, this happened 2 years ago. I'm almost off.
But he's talking about how he breaks the law.
I know, I know. I thought, who am I to judge? Everybody has a past.
There was something about him irresistible, and he seemed to see just what he wanted in her.
He hit me hard and fast as far as like whining and dining me.
Do you think you seemed needy?
How many dates did you guys have?
He got to know me more.
We did it about a month and a half before I went on the run.
Okay. I'm thinking it was like 2 weeks or something.
And he was going to let us, he and I live in a condo, and let my son live in the one below it by himself.
What? Come on. That doesn't even sound like something you would say.
I know. I had
We
diamonds.
barely know each other.
We
barely know each other.
He just gave me cash for what I wanted. My Prince Charming, I thought.
Rebecca Houck was mesmerized by these amazing stories. How to beat the system, get rich, and not hurt a living soul.
And he told me that his friend and him would create people. He'd make up a name, make a fake social security number, and so they would go get all these credit cards and these names, buy all this stuff, and never pay it.
You must have realized it was not legal.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I did.
And was that not a problem?
It was, but by the time he started approaching me with this, I was so consumed with him.
Rebecca Hauk says she believed every
I mean, listen,
word.
let's be honest with that. That I believe. That I believe. You've seen me. I mean,
I
I'm
know.
pretty amazing.
So consuming that you couldn't even get rid of her. Go ahead.
Elevated about wealth like she'd never experienced before. Neither she nor Matthew Cox, apparently, was aware that around Tampa a buzz was growing about federal investigations. The law was on Cox's trail once again. And then one day, a tip-off.
Someone who wrote for the paper sent his partner an article saying, "We're on to you."
This is going to be in the paper.
Yeah, and he knew he was already on probation.
But here's the twist that's truly bizarre. Cox, the aspiring novelist, had written passages years earlier that he now seemed to be living almost word for word in real life.
Panic set in for the first time. How in the hell had the FBI gotten involved? Someone must have tipped them off. But who?
He wouldn't go back to his house because he was afraid that they'd pick him up there. If he was going to get picked up again, he was going to prison.
Matthew Cox was about to ask that same question again, the one he'd asked Allison Arnold.
He's like, "Will you come with me?"
And this time, the answer would be yes.
I'm trying to see if that was Bayshore, but
That's Bayshore. I think it is. No, that looks like from Davis Island.
Former business acquaintances like Scott Cugno were perplexed.
He had 60 properties at that time, give or take.
I don't know why they.
That's a lot to abandon.
Yes.
I guess he's the only one that would talk.
Allison Arnold knew exactly what had happened.
When I found out that he went on the run,
Yeah, I like her Suzanne Summers type voice.
I knew
When
everything was going to be exposed.
Or,
I like to get a tour.
after all, Cox's new Confederate Rebecca Hauk was willing to do whatever Allison was not, and especially to leave her son, 13-year-old Bryce, and go on the run.
Found out that he went on the run, I felt like I wanted to die inside because I knew everything was going to be exposed.
Or would it? After all, Cox's new Confederate Rebecca Hauk was willing to do whatever Allison was not, and especially to leave her son, 13-year-old Bryce,
But listen.
and go on the run.
Bryce was actually going to visit my mom for Christmas, so I had already gotten him a ticket to go.
So when you took him
Oh, it was horrible.
to the airport,
I was just like crying. I wouldn't let him go. He's like, "I'll be back in 2 weeks. What's going on?" Because I was, so upset.
days after they left,
So
a hard-hitting expose outlining some of Cox's alleged
swindles appeared in
God,
the St.
I'm
Petersburg
wondering where they're getting all
Times.
these pictures.
Headline,
dubious deals, all those dozens of properties, and so much more about Matthew Cox were not all that they seemed. Law enforcement went into gear. Warrants were issued. But a manhunt? No. And nobody in Tampa had the slightest idea that Matthew Cox and Rebecca Hauk were in Atlanta, and soon were setting up shop in this Tony apartment building.
We had to get new identities, so we just went to dinner one night, made up a name.
She became Grace Hudson. And Cox, well, he drove across the border to Alabama, walked into this DMV, and the dyslexic artist who developed an amazing ability to copy signatures.
Is that Alabama?
doctored a few documents and
Did I say Alabama?
himself into,
yeah.
Oh.
No.
we say,
An old friend.
I couldn't believe that this was happening.
Cox, it turned out, had volunteered to handle Scott Cugno's mortgage a couple of years earlier. And now, to his horror, Cugno discovered his former friend had used all that precious and secret personal information for his own dirty work.
He took my identity and bought houses, a car, and some credit cards.
How much did he steal using your name?
I think it's like $50,000.
It's like 400,000 I cashed.
game was on.
I don't know how come he didn't know
Taking
that.
a crash course in fraud, her first assignment.
That book Cox had written, The Associates.
Anyone can steal money and run, but disappearing forever is extremely difficult. They need driver's licenses and credit cards.
Did you know that he had written a book?
No, and when I read it, I was just floored. I mean, I couldn't believe it. As we got on the run together, I saw how he did things, and it all referenced back to how the book was.
And here,
Did she read the book?
She did read the book, but they're leaning into the narrative.
Just like this one, they did rent in an Atlanta suburb. Next, the fictional character opened accounts at several banks in the area to launder the cash that was to come. Cox did just that. Then, just as his character had, Cox forged a document and filed it at the courthouse, claiming the mortgage on the home was paid off.
And that he'd start hitting high-end lenders and telling them that he owned the property free and clear.
Lenders, like John Holman, who had no idea he was playing the part of the fictional dupe.
I loaned this fellow over $100,000 on a home that it turns out he didn't own.
A private investor named Sam Dobrow also made a loan. You've lost something like $75,000, $80,000.
Right, and my partner, who's in this with me, has another $50,000.
They all got paid back, by the way.
Like, by the system?
In real
Well, you don't
life,
feel bad about it going that
they
down,
hit
that low.
Tallahassee, where Rebecca got more involved. Now it was she who claimed to own this house. She who went to the closing under another stolen identity.
Was there some point at which he said, okay, you're in it as deep as I am?
On our drive home, he's like, well, you're in it. You've done it.
So now you're Bonnie of Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
This guy's so annoying.
Oh, yeah. She didn't even like that. She didn't like that. Your mother.
But as she got in deeper, things began to change.
That was Jamaica.
Even before Jamaica, the romance had cooled. Cox, who at 5'6", could never be mistaken for Brad Pitt or George Clooney.
Look at
So
that
mean.
gut. Look at that's not you.
Tell me, you'd be perfect if you just had some plastic surgery done. Breast implants.
You didn't want breast implants, right?
Attention grabbing boobs.
But
You're a
implants,
monster.
She got
I feel bad.
a $15,000 job at this plastic surgery center outside Atlanta.
Well, then why'd you allow yourself?
Because I wanted him to want me. I wanted him, because he kept telling me he wasn't physically attracted to me. Everything
Who
I tried
says
to do
that?
was trying to make him
Well,
want to
I've
be.
said that.
But
No, still no. I just was flabbergasted. What do I have to do? I gave up my family, my life, my kid. You know, I
Sometimes that makes me upset to hear.
show you how much you mean to me when you're telling me I'm never going to be good enough for you.
Wait, stop. Will you stop with it?
But if she was in some ways trapped in this cage, it was certainly a gilded one.
so you lived in a great apartment.
Mm-hmm. Drove a G35 Infinity.
Had great clothes, makeup, hair.
Exactly.
Nails done.
Everything.
But slowly, Rebecca Houck was coming to realize that despite all the trappings, life in the shadows,
Tampa.
always looking over her shoulder, was not so glamorous after all. And things were heating up. Atlanta area lenders who'd been stiffed began alerting authorities about Cox's schemes.
The number of victims, the number of stolen identities used, the number of prior mortgages that are erased, all of that.
I'm falling asleep here. Work with me.
Very unique.
Who is that?
Assistant U.S. Attorney Gail McKenzie of Atlanta.
That's Gail?
That was good.
Very good. We once were within 3 weeks of capturing him. We were that close.
The Fed seized bank accounts,
That doesn't
and
sound
they say
close.
they grabbed several
United
$100,000 of Cox's ill-gotten gains.
Before he had a chance to get at it.
Before he had a chance to launder it, yes.
So he would have known you were pretty close at that point.
He knew we were very close at that point.
Federal agents say their real names are 35-year-old Matthew Cox and 33.
That was in the Tampa paper.
News stories began.
When I was in jail, I remember reading it going, this guy is the bomb.
By the fugitive.
My picture was everywhere on the news. And I got really scared then.
And yet, once again, Matthew Cox gave his pursuers the slip. He and Rebecca headed north to Columbia, South Carolina, where with a new stolen identity, Gary Sullivan, he bought this house.
In our case, he closed on 6 loans in the span of a few days for our property, and another house also closed on 5 to 6 loans within the span of a week.
Dr. Bruce Brown and his wife were leaving the Army, selling their first home, when they met Cox.
So we're talking about a dozen closings in a week?
All with separate attorneys, separate real estate agents.
And different identities in many.
Different identities.
The prankster in Christian couldn't help but add a flair to the forgeries.
So brazen was Cox that on one mortgage he even was said to have signed the name C. Montgomery Burns.
Excellent.
Was it arrogance? Hubris? Maybe it was simple karma then, that the luck which greased this long string of scams was about
I like
to
those
run.
pictures.
See that hairline?
Yes, you're in the bank, just
Oh yeah. Oh, they have
Cruising
pictures of
the
me like
cameras?
looking right at the camera, like
yes.
Rebecca Houck and the mortgage fraud mastermind Matthew Cox had been on the run for 18 months, weaving their way north from Tampa, suspected of juggling dozens of identities, including those stolen from former acquaintances.
I believe he's a genius.
Forging documents,
That's
taking
true.
money out of
That part-
homes,
that part's
leaving homeowners and lenders fighting over the chaos.
It's a chess game, and every time he walks out of closing, it's checkmate.
And remember, Cox had also left behind the woman who'd become his first accomplice. And while Cox and his new partner
Not my first
ran,
accomplice.
Allison Arnold was increasingly haunted by the crimes she'd helped commit. Just like a character in that novel Cox had written years before.
they're really pushing
This
the novel,
poor girl
huh?
was trapped in a spot Houdini couldn't have gotten out of. It was very possible she may spend the next 15 to 20 years in federal prison.
Finally, she couldn't take it anymore. And so she picked up the phone and called the FBI before the Bureau came to her.
They would have knocked on my door, and I didn't want that to happen. I wanted to get it over with. I knew that what goes up must come down.
But Matthew Cox had no such fear. The step-by-step schemes that investigators said he'd laid out years earlier, in a novel of all things, had worked out perfectly. His take? Authorities estimated some $5 million.
Does he think other people are stupid?
Yeah, he thinks he's smarter than everybody.
And then one
Do you
day,
see the
in
leading?
the spring of 2005, Rebecca was briefly alone, and her phone rang.
He called me and said, "You may have to be on your own. I've just been picked up." And I was distraught. I could not even fathom what would happen to me if he wasn't there.
Finally,
This is
it had
being
happened.
trapped in the bank.
A sharp-eyed court clerk in Columbia, South Carolina, had noticed Cox had put several mortgages on 2 houses in a matter of days. A fraud alert was issued on one of his money-laundering bank accounts. And here are the photos of Cox inside the very bank where his luck was about to run out. He was taken into custody just outside.
He actually got
Who's
taken to the
inside?
police department, and they had him in custody.
This is where they brought him, to the Richland County Sheriff's Department in Columbia, South Carolina. The end of one audacious crime spree. Or was it? The man deputies were questioning told them his name was Gary Lee Sullivan, which was, in fact, one of his 30 or so fake IDs.
It's Gary Lee Sullivan.
And since there was no warrant,
This is one of my favorite stories.
$1.3 million.
they let him go. Matthew Cox simply walked away.
How frustrating was that for you?
Extremely frustrating.
Assistant U.S. Attorney Gail McKenzie.
So close.
So very close.
Cox is slipped away.
Well, what's in here?
And he soon joined Rebecca. But she knew
My favorite line.
her face, she knew, had shown up on wanted posters. And she'd recently caught Cox trolling the very spot where he'd found her, Match.com. That could mean only one thing. He was looking for a new accomplice.
A new accomplice.
She was finished.
And as we're driving, he's like, "We need to do this again." I'm like, "No, I'm not going to do this again." I go, "I can't do this. Enough's enough. It's over." And I think that's when it clicked with him that I wasn't going to do it anymore.
All the way. No.
To an argument, I had went and gotten in the bath, and he left everything.
Once, he'd swept her off her feet, showered her with clothes and cash, diamonds, and, she says, made her his partner in crime. And now he was simply gone.
Would you have stayed with him right through to the end?
I had every intention when I left with him to the end.
Stick it out no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Go down in a blaze of glory.
Yeah.
Really be Bonnie and Clyde. That was a romantic image in a way, wasn't it?
I wanted to be loved unconditionally. I wanted, yeah.
So why are you leading?
Rebecca found
You're
herself
leading
alone,
the story.
now in Houston, where they had come to find new victims. Instead, Rebecca settled into a quiet life on the lam. She made new friends, changed her hair color, and once again picked a new name.
What did they know you as?
Rebecca Sue Hickey.
And as Rebecca Sue Hickey in Houston, she says, she went straight. She worked as a bartender, attended cosmetology school. For nearly a year, she says, she lived and worked and pined for her son. And waited. And then one day, in March 2006, the Secret Service came walking into that cosmetology school. By March 2006, Rebecca Houck had been on her own in Houston for nearly a year.
You're like, what the heck?
I just felt like I was scared, but I felt this big relief, like, you know what? Let's start it. This is the beginning of the end. Let me just get this done.
2.5 years after Rebecca Houck and Matthew Cox began papering the South with phony mortgages, stealing from property owners and banks and title companies from Florida to Georgia and South Carolina, one half of
That's the Tampa paper.
Right.
Oh, that's the Atlanta Journal, but that's the same article.
fraud, identity theft, money laundering, and conspiracy. She was sentenced to almost 6 years in federal prison and was ordered to pay back more than $1 million. She sat down with us for an interview at the Federal Detention Center in Atlanta.
I want to believe in love, but you got to love yourself. You can't let somebody else manipulate you the way that.
You just turned over your life to him.
Oh, it's complete. My body, my life, my spirit, everything to him.
Oh my God.
Victim?
I feel I am, but I also know that I'm responsible for what I did do.
They
You know, as soon as you say
told her to say that.
Yeah.
They told her to say that.
Yes, maybe.
Whatever. Yeah, I know. Sure, I'm an adult. I made a bad decision that I know, and I've hurt people too because of it.
Do you know how many lives you and he have impoverished? How many financial lives are thrown into turmoil?
Stop. We gotta stop.
Okay, that's going to be the good part. So it's important to pay attention to the different analogies that he uses on each.
Do you know that?
Yeah. I think about that a lot.
But did you at the time?
No, because he would make me believe that that's why their title companies are there, to pay the people off. They're not going to be in trouble.
Where does that money come from? Whose money is that?
I know. And not
Some big
knowing,
nameless corporation that nobody worries about. Was that
exactly,
the
a
idea?
penny from every person, he would say. And not knowing so much about mortgage and mortgage
penny
fraud,
from every person.
I believed him.
Of course, Rebecca Houck is not the only woman who fell for Matthew Cox.
I trusted him with, my life, basically.
There was.
I'm starting to dislike me.
Arnold, who seemed to realize
Well, at least you can join us.
Allison was to turn herself into the FBI and offer a full confession, pleading guilty to numerous charges, including conspiracy to commit bank fraud and identity theft. The result? She was ordered to pay $300,000 in restitution to her victims, and she was sentenced to 2 years behind bars.
That's unbelievable they gave her that much time.
This price you paid?
Yes, it's worth it because before turning myself in, I was living more in prison than I do today. I couldn't imagine what it must be like to be Matt, living under a completely different alias and
It was great.
damaging more people, hurting more people, stealing from middle-class America.
I don't know about all
Wait.
that part, but
You didn't ever have fear of getting caught, like
no, except for when the handcuffs were on me.
Oh well.
And then I talked my way out of them. They took them off me. I was like, oh, I got you.
Who was that?
That is
The Tennessee girl.
Yes, that is. Oh my God! Amanda. That was Amanda. Amanda Gardner.
Now, one thing remained: to catch her accomplice in fraud, the accused conman behind it all, Matthew Cox.
Can you explain the hair? What is that picture of you with the long hair?
For good reason.
It's the money in the game.
U.S. Attorney Gail McKenzie's manhunt had now gone nationwide. Law enforcement was alerted to his many aliases and the habits that could give him away. His love for vanilla lattes at Starbucks, movies about criminals, the habit of painting huge murals in a very specific style, the method using young single mothers as accomplices.
This guy.
More than likely that some other young woman is setting herself up for a stay in a federal prison somewhere.
That is a real possibility.
And then, out of the blue, there was news. On the very week Rebecca Houck was sentenced in Atlanta, a tip from Nashville, Tennessee, just 200 miles away. It was a babysitter who said she'd heard something about a man she'd worked for. He called himself Joseph Carter in Florida, she said. He lived with this single mother. Secret Service agents scrambled to his home in Nashville and found it was empty. Matthew Cox was gone. Where was Matthew Cox? Had somebody tipped him off? Well, in fact, the truth was too strange to make up. Just days before, Cox had learned what it was like to become the victim of a crime. Armed robbers had burst into his house, had stolen watches, cash, a car, an Infiniti, of course. And Cox became so worried that somebody was after him that he scooped up his new girlfriend and her young son and moved into a hotel.
He said he would take care of me. He said he would take care of my
interview
son,
her.
that he would try his best to make sure that we were happy.
Her name is Amanda Gardner. She said she and Cox, or Carter as she knew him, had set up a home remodeling
Carter was your first
business,
name?
the Nashville Restoration
It's actually the last
Project.
name. I just went by
Check
Carter.
out this remodeled home. Recognize the murals on the wall?
I was completely and totally dumbstruck in love.
Amanda had settled down with this man
Oh,
who took her to Greece on vacation, loved crime movies, vanilla lattes from Starbucks, and sure enough, asked her to have breast enhancement surgery.
Untrue.
Did she?
Cox and Amanda returned home.
Did she have?
No.
Where they were hiding.
No, because I think he said that. Like he said that. She never did.
On November 16, 2006, just like that, Matthew Cox was caught, taken down by Secret Service agents who'd been searching for him for 2 long years.
Every time they said my name, I felt like I was my legs were gonna drop out from underneath me.
This is locked up in the U.S. Marshals holdover.
Today, now sitting in the
Oh my God!
behind bars, where we
You weren't cuffed when you talked to him?
No, they took him
more
off.
than a year before.
I remember thinking, had it just been the regular police, I probably would have thought I've got a chance. But the Secret Service, they had me. They had me.
Had him, he says, because Amanda had discovered his true identity, then somehow let the secret slip to a friend.
I was curious to know why you didn't just leave the country, run away, and kept doing those crazy murals, which was so obviously you.
I love those murals. I left the country a few times and came back. I remember every place I thought that I would be able to disappear to, I remember being terrified that if I went there, you go to Mexico and a gringo shows up with $1 million in cash, he's going to get it taken away from him.
So Cox, against his better instincts, stayed in Nashville, fell in love, tried to go legit, he says, but fell back to his old money-making schemes.
Nashville Restoration
and
Project.
habits, which by now were as comfortable as old shoes.
Did you ever stop going to Starbucks?
No.
What was the drink? I forget now.
Venti vanilla latte with 5 raw sugars.
There you go.
They don't serve those here.
So it's possible to do without them?
It is. Yeah, it's possible to do without all kinds of things. You'd be surprised.
In the end,
That's a shell of the old Matt. I'm gonna
Oh,
tell you
God,
that.
right? Oh, I was crushed, bro.
His eyes light up when he talks about that close call back in Columbia, South Carolina, when he and Rebecca had briefly separated and police picked him up on suspicion of bank fraud and were one simple question away from ending his long run. He had been banking that day, illegally, of course, using stolen ID.
And he comes back and he says, yep, he's got a valid driver's license in Nevada. And he said everything checks out. He goes, well, it says he's 5'11". And they all of them look at me at the same time. And I'm clearly not 5'11". And I said, with a good pair of shoes. And they all started laughing. I gave him my business card, told him to call me as soon as he found out anything. I got into my vehicle. I went to 2 more banks, got out some more money, and
they cut the whole part about me being brought to the police
South
station.
Carolina, never to go back.
How'd that feel driving away?
I know my lawyer doesn't want me to say this, but I was very happy. Granted, when we left, there was $700,000 in the bank. But that $700,000 was nothing compared to walking away.
But why did he do it? With all his talent and his head for numbers? In fact, said Cox, he'd gotten in over his head. He should have declared bankruptcy after his initial misdeeds back in Florida. But he'd learned about all these tempting loopholes in mortgage rules and discovered that lots of people were all too willing to give him sensitive information.
They would give me where they were born and their mother's maiden name, and there's just no reason to give that information out.
Did you ever say, okay, I know I'm about to do something that's really extremely wrong, immoral, and makes me a bad person, but I'm going to do it anyway?
Yes, I'd love to say, oh no, that didn't cross my mind, or
Of course it crossed your mind.
But it obviously crossed my mind. And my whole justification for that was the banks will pay back the money, or the title companies will pay it back, and nobody will lose a significant amount of money, and ultimately no one will really get hurt other than title companies. Those were the types of things that I would tell myself that helped me sleep better at night. Yeah. And it still didn't work. I still didn't sleep very well.
Pretty convoluted rationalizations.
Yeah, well, I was taking a lot of Xanax, that helped.
What?
Without a doubt,
I had a prescription for Xanax. I've always had a prescription for
I did not know that.
Yeah. I don't think I was taking a lot of it, though.
No. You just said it.
Look.
I know I've hurt some people.
Look.
But
I'm about to do something that's really extremely wrong, immoral, and makes me
This is where he does the hurt thing. He kind of,
inconvenienced quite a few people.
Inconvenience is a very small word.
But then hurt, physically hurt.
I didn't say physically.
I know I've hurt some people.
Did say physically,
but
that's what they cut.
Any old ladies' pension funds or anything along those lines. I didn't think I was going to hurt any individuals.
Or was that your rationalization again? You decided you could think that, even though maybe...
At the time, I really believed that. Seeing how things played out, I realized it didn't happen.
There was, by the way, one very personal message Cox had for us. Remember what Allison and Rebecca said, that he manipulated them, that he demanded they have breast implants and leave their kids? The women, claimed Cox, were willing partners in all of that, aware of the risks. And that title Dateline gave him, Thief of Hearts? Cox laughed about that. Explained he'd had plenty of male accomplices, too. But a few things were not a laughing matter. His father, for one.
He's going to go to the sentencing, which, is great. And that, my dad's going to go to my sentencing. That just seems so horrible. Can we stop for a second?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Out there somewhere.
Why did that touch you?
Just my dad. Just
for a dad.
I guess I'm hoping someday he'll want to know who his father is.
Oh, he's talking about yours.
No, he's talking about my dad.
And then your son.
Yeah.
But claiming she did nothing wrong. A woman he says he still loves.
Oh. I'm hoping that'll pass eventually. Because haven't heard from her lately. But I'm sure eventually all things heal with time.
And time is what Matthew Cox will have plenty of. Because unlike the
ugly.
Oh, yeah. It's bad.
He's ugly, Sigma.
He hadn't meant for anyone to get hurt.
People have been hurt. Authorities do consider him a criminal.
He was free and about to start a new adventure, a new life in a new country.
There'll be no sailing away on an ocean-bound cruise ship, no millions in cash, no girl by his side. Instead, only a guilty plea to dozens of counts of mortgage,
ACDC,
bank,
baby.
and passport fraud, ID theft,
and you shook his
probation
hand.
Violations. He is, finally,
bro, what am I supposed to do?
Matthew Cox. And his
what do you do? Tell him go fuck yourself? He's got to edit this thing. Hoping to get a good cut.
I'll go on with my life, and maybe I'll be an artist.
And you didn't.
No.
But
probably the only thing I'll be able to do.
It probably could have been worse.
I'll be equipped to get a job at McDonald's, even with.
I wanted to get a job at McDonald's when I got out.
I don't think they'd let me work the cash register.
In November 2007, Matthew Cox was sentenced to 26 years behind bars.
Ouch.
That's all for Dateline on ID.
Poor guy, he didn't deserve that.
Thanks for watching.
Seems